In the world. All right, this is I hope the audio sounds good. It sounds kind of trippy on this end. So super impromptu stream. It's gonna be short because I got to do something in just a second. I may have to step away randomly actually because I'm expecting a guest, but this is pretty crazy. I'm gonna tell you guys what's going on, and so we're gonna break this down more in the future for sure. It's such a trip, so I just felt like I had to get it out there. Okay. So my testimony is that back in the day, I was chilling at the crib. We used to, I used to always smoke tons of weed and drink and have girls come over, or whatever, and party or whatever. I randomly started getting this reoccurring thought, like, we are in the season of the end, and I had like he wanted to use me. I want to use you. There's something that you have to do. All this stuff, right? I'm like, this is super weird. Mind you, this is not like if you had asked me at the time, I would have been like, religion's retarded. And I still think religion's retarded, but I would have just thrown the whole Bible in there with the religion is retarded thing, and it just wouldn't go away, and I was sober, so I'm like, "This is a trip." So I went and said a prayer, and that's just because I was raised Christian. So I said, "Dear Lord, I feel like you're telling me that we're in the end, and you wanna use me to do something. If that's true, give me an undeniable sign. Amen." That went away. So I'm like, "Boom." And I would have told you, "Well, the mind's super powerful, man. You did that yourself, you know? Subconscious, conscious, like, oh, now you've appeased whatever this thought you were, manifesting was until it went away." Whatever. That's what I told you. I was thinking in my mind stuff like, am I actually talking to like the creator of the Bible or just the ceiling? Okay. But I was sincere. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, if the creator's real, I wanna know. If there's he's trying to tell me something, I wanna know. So I asked for an undeniable sign. So then I used to detail cars. I owned like a detail business. And so I went to this lady's car, an appointment. I'd probably done her car like 40, 50 times, like no exaggeration for like years, a couple years. And I always did cleaned her SUV like in the little suburban neighborhood she lived in at her house or when she would get her nails done, bi-weekly or whatever. And randomly on a Tuesday, she wanted me to go detail her car in a church parking lot. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Please tell me that the stream started. Oh my goodness. Okay, it did, yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Hopefully the sound is good. 'Cause it's like a Tuesday, it's not even a church day, empty parking lot, whatever. So I'm just detailing her car, and I'm starting to think like, this is pretty. Oh yeah, I did ask her. Like, I mean, this would be a bit of a reach. Like, it just could be a coincidence. Well, I started to think about it, and, like the whole idea. And I looked over and I saw some people like coming out holding Bibles. I'm like, okay, chalk it up. I go to my next appointment because I had scheduled it to where they were all in close proximity in the same part of town, right? Literally like 2 houses down the street from the church. Um, New appointment, never had this guy. I'm detailing his, car. He comes out with a check to pay me, elderly guy, and he's like, "Hey, young man," or, "Son," I think he said young man. What do you know about Jesus?" He just starts witnessing to me, right? And I'm like, that is weird. Okay, maybe a coincidence. Then I'm driving my truck and I have Pandora plugged in and I always just listen to like, some secular rap music, right? Like B.O.B., I think it was. And randomly NF, who I did not know who that was, started playing and he's a Christian rapper, right? And most of his music it's not even doesn't even mention God per se or the Bible, but this was like back in the day, right? This is years ago. I'm like, okay, that is really weird. Why is my Pandora playing a Christian rap song? Why did I just detail a car to church? Why is this guy telling me about Jesus? And then I'm like, I did ask for an undeniable sign, right? So I'm like, okay, these are pretty crazy coincidences. Like you got my attention type of thing. I'm just trying to reason it out in my head. Is like, I'm just paying more attention to these types of things right now, even though actually I'd like forgot about it. So a couple other things happened. I can't remember. I had to think about it. The whole day was crazy, like synchronistic and weird. I go home, take a shower. I'm walking towards the living room. My homie was in the living room, my roommate. I'm walking in there, I look over the bookshelf, and I just, like, see the Bible, and it's like a NIV, not a huge fan, you know, now, NIV Bible I had gotten for Christmas that had not been touched since the moment it was gifted to me, right? It had dust on it, and, I'm like I, like, noticed the Bible, which is weird, so I'm like, "I guess I'll read it, especially after today, especially after I asked for undeniable sign." Sit down, open it up. Again, the prayer was, "I feel like you're telling me we're in the season of the end, and you want to use me to do something, or I have some purpose, and if that's true, give me an undeniable sign." Open the Bible, go to the top left of the page I opened it up to, and it's the Ezekiel 38. The 38th chapter actually starts at the top left of that page, which that in of itself is pretty wild, right? It just so happened that that print of that NIV, with that font size, because I actually was thinking like this analytically after, because it's like, you know, pretty wild. What are the odds that my copy, when I go to the top left, it starts the 38th chapter. I'm start reading it, and it's like this scene out of Lord of the Rings or something, it's like a crazy war. It's like insane. And like I'm like, well, this is pretty wild, you know. I've never heard this story. I've been to church for a long time when I was younger. So pretty crazy battle, war. And basically the creator intervenes and protects his people, Israel. So I'm like, this is wild, very detailed. Bunch of countries converge and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, what is it? I mean, whatever, weird war. I look it up and it's like the end time war. It is the end time war, right? It is the thing that happens in the end. It is the end thing you can have. And I'm like, okay, that is pretty crazy. I start looking it up and there's all those like different interpretations and people are always trying to figure out what it is. It's Gog and Magog. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty crazy. At this point, I'm not going to ignore it. So, and then I remember I was walking to the store the next day and randomly I was suggested like the Book of Enoch. Um, It was like a video explaining, like, kind of where it was found and how it's been removed, and then I started listening to it, and I'm like, "Whoa, this makes Genesis 6." Mind you, that's what I used to always, give preachers and, pastors or whatever a hard time with. Genesis 6 says there were giants. All of a sudden, that made sense. This was randomly suggested to me on YouTube. Now, I had kinda looked up Ezekiel 38 before that, I guess, so I was walking to the store, start listening to Enoch. Like, this is a crazy story. I'm seeing some Lord of the Rings battle, never heard of anything that crazy, and then I'm like, "Whoa, Enoch," and if you know, you know. So I'm like, "Okay, this is crazy." Okay. So then I start actually, like, feeling guilty about things, like, I start, like, I'm not supposed to be, like, just never sober, I'm not supposed to just, like, be real hedonistic, like, I actually started feeling like they were bad. Okay. And I would have totally checked myself like, "Bro, what a square," bro, but I did, I started feeling like it's weird, so I'm like, "Whatever, I can just show discipline, I don't have to do these things?" And so, like, 5 days in, I start being like, "Okay, that's enough," long week, lots of work, lots of bills, like, "Alright, I wanna drink some Jameson, I wanna smoke some weed, I wanna, you know, go out, have some people come over, whatever." So, I don't, and then that next morning, super early, like 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I drive to the park, so I back my Pathfinder up in the park, no one's there, sunrise, I got the Bible, and I say, "Dear Lord, help me apply discipline to my convictions." This is my second prayer. Second time I'm gonna open the Bible, and that's because I actually was the prayer speaks for itself, right? I open the Bible. And I told the story, like, maybe 1 or 2 streams ago, but I open it up, there's, like, a page stuck on top of my thumb, so I open it, and then there's a page stuck on top of it. I go to the top left, it says, "He who disregards" no, it says, "He who heeds correction gains understanding." But it's like the second half of that verse. So I pop the pages that stuck together off, turning it to the actual page I opened it up to, look at the bottom right, read the first half of it, "He who disregards discipline hates himself." Dear Lord, help me apply discipline to my convictions. He who disregards discipline hates himself. He who heeds correction gains understanding. Well, I'm clearly I'm being corrected about things I thought were petty, right? So I'm like, whoa, this is getting super real. I remember like calling my parents. Like I didn't convey the story very well. They were kind of like, "What are you talking about, bro?" Um, well, yeah, I was tripping out. Okay, and then a few days later, I get a random call that's like, "Hey, man, I bought this house. and it's just like a basement right now. It's like a fully decked out basement. We're gonna build a couple stories on top of it. It's out on 5 acres. It's beautiful. All your neighbors have tons of acres as well. It's like a beautiful pond out front. You know, lots of animals. And if you'll just like maintain the yard, like the 5 acres, which is a lot, then you can stay there for free. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let me think about it. And I'm like, I felt like I was supposed to do it. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I dipped out because the lease was ending at that time too. We were like on a month after, I think. So I dip out and it pulls me out of that environment, right? And now I'm just by myself. I'm running my business. I'm coming home. I like shaved my head, like no guard. I like fasted. I started like reading the Bible like obsessively. Started researching like atheist historian debates about the historicity of the Yeshua in the scriptures. So I had a lot of experiences there. So that like, started my testimony. So end times, Ezekiel 38. Okay. Fast forward, I have lots of stuff that have happened to me in terms of my spiritual walk, but I am on tour and I felt like called to go out into the world. I did that. That was a crazy story. I didn't know it didn't turn out how it was intended at all. It was supposed to be like as crazy as this is in recollection, me and Nathan Thompson just going around in his van with his dog and see like how long we would go around and kind of talk to people about flat earth. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I felt like I was supposed to go out into the world and do something. And then I got that offer. So I'm like, okay, synchronicity, I'm supposed to do it. And they surprised me with a full size Class A RV. That's Chris. And they're like, we're actually going to go around in this. And then that turns into me and Chris touring for well over a year around the entire United States, every major city, me paying rent, but not being there. And then after a few months post the end of the lease, month to month, I'm like, this is stupid. My mom meets someone there and like sells all my possessions for like $200. Basically just gives everything away. They just take whatever they want in the house. The rest gets tossed, and they took pretty much everything, like $200. So now I'm like on the road. I have nothing to do. Whatever they didn't take, we ended up swinging back by later and like picked it up, either put it in storage, threw it away, whatever we did with it. All right. So basically, I gave all my possessions away. I'm like, gave my house away, traveling around, and we spent like well over 6 figures on that tour with gas and everything that we spent. And I was strictly relying on the creator to like provide because people were supporting the content. We were going up in the city with microphones, all this stuff, right? And then I was doing streams at night. Okay. At one point in that tour, we kinda take a break because we're like it's like us against tons of just, like, brainwashed liberal zombies everywhere all the time, not really wanting to hear that, "Hey, they're conditioning you for the mark of the beast." You're walking into a store and they're scanning your wrist and forehead, bro. You think that's just a coincidence that when they're telling you you need to get this to buy, sell, and trade, they're then conditioning you to scan your forehead? Like, this is weird, right? And they're talking about, like, a digital, fax ID, and I'm like, "They're conditioning you. This is a test." And, oh, yeah, side note, this is poison. Do not let them do that or, like, inject anything into you. And then I talk about cosmology, FE, and stuff like that. I couldn't stream as much of the COVID content on YouTube at the time. Anyway, we take a break because we're just kinda like, "This is, like, intense." We've been assaulted many times, a bunch of crazy stuff. And so I go to Jack's house. He's teaching me Hebrew and stuff. I'm learning with him. And I tell him, "You know what, dude? I think I'm, like, ready for a wife. I think I want a wife." He's like, "Well, go tell the father." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "No, like, go tell him, like, exactly what you want." I was, like, basically detailing what I'm up, but I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna be super picky. I don't know how this is gonna happen." It's like, "I want her to be this, 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 this." And he's like, "Go tell the creator." So I did that. I gave a really pretty picky, prayer. And I'll be transparent. I asked for a virgin. I asked for a girl that was younger than me that would wanna have lots of children, that was open to the truth of cosmology, would basically be a truther, would be willing to kinda follow me wherever I was going as I felt led by the creator, would kinda have, faith like that, um, a few other things. I think it was unspoken that her to be attractive or whatever, but so then I open the Bible, I say that prayer, first time ever asking for a wife. Just made the decision for the first time in my life I would even be open to such a thing. I then open the Bible and I read Hosea 1:2. Okay, and it says, "The Lord said, take a wife of whoredom and children of whoredom, for the land has whored away." And I was like, whoa, how did I just open the Bible and read, "The Lord said, take a wife"? Right? This is insane. First sentence I read, literally in the middle of a page. So I look up thinking like, I was just kind of in disbelief. I look up and it was, like, dead still. When I looked up, there was, like, a breeze that came through for, like, 2 seconds. I remember seeing the leaves start to move and then stop, and I felt the spirit. I had, like, goosebumps head to toe, this tingling feeling, I could feel the spirit. I'm like, "Okay, that was, like, confirmation that he did show me that." I'm gonna have to step away in just a second, I'll be right back up here. So, I'm like, "That's pretty crazy," right? And then, I kinda just ignored the details of it, like, of whoredom, whatever. I didn't keep reading. I'm like, "Oh, maybe that's the answer to, like, you asked for a virgin, bro, get real, right? You're not a virgin. Look at today's world." I don't know. I just thought, "This is crazy." And what I actually thought was there's only so many verses that you could read, and it said, "The Lord said, 'Take a wife,'" right? Where it would be a direct answer to my request that I wanted a wife now. So I'm like, "Well, he just showed me one of probably just a few that you could possibly even look at." And I did the analytics. I always do that. I'm like, "This is just not a coincidence. There's no way." People always tell me, "Oh, I've had crazy experiences with books too, and your mind's so powerful." I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool, man." I mean, I don't dispute that. The mind is powerful, but I'm praying to the creator and things are happening. It's not just me opening a book. It's like all kinds of crazy things are happening and, to each their own. So, pretty crazy then. Okay, now this is where, because I don't have, like, a ton of time, and we'll break this down way more. We're gonna go through Hosea. We're gonna look at everything because this is crazy, okay? But I just wanted to give you guys this update. So, lots of develops in my life, lots of crazy stuff, looking at, my whole testimony as a whole. I get reached out to I'll tell more details in the future, and we'll go through everything, but I get reached out to by a believer a few days ago, and he sends me, he's like, "Hey, this is, like, Chuck Missler, maybe a different take on Hosea." Okay, that's a preacher. I never even heard of him, and, I'm like, "Okay, cool." And it's, like, pretty long. I'm like, "Dude, I don't have time to listen to all this right now," but I'm like, "I'll check it out at some point." Then I'm laying down to go to sleep, like a day or 2 ago, and there's, like, some video playing. It's like reels are playing or something because I dozed off, and it's this Chuck Missler guy, and he's talking about the end times, and he's talking about Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog. It's the end time war, right? And basically all these countries converge on Israel. Now, here's something else that was shown to me recently is the color of the apocalyptic horses. What are they? They're white, green, red, yellow. Like the apocalyptic horses, right? White, green, red, yellow. Look at every single country surrounding that place that they call Israel now, which, I've gone back and forth. Oh, is Israel here? No, I think Israelites were here. Hebrew people were here a lot longer ago than we were told, but that doesn't mean America is. And if you start really looking into it, it's like lots of historical evidence over there in that area. So anyway, look at every country around it: Iran, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia. Just keep looking at it, like Google it, and we'll do it. I don't have time right now. I just want to get this out there. Every one of their flags have red, yellow, green, white. Every one of them in different ways. Palestine. They're all the same colors, and they're all Islamic. And then so look at Gog and Magog. They get converged on from all around. It's pretty crazy, right? Like, okay, is that what that is? Is that the end time apocalyptic? Could that be a coincidence? Maybe. Could he make it any more blatant that maybe it's not a coincidence, Every one of their flags, very weird. So, okay, he starts explaining, like, I just wake up, Chuck Missler's I'll actually tell you when I fully woke up, but I'm hearing, like, while I'm dozing off, Chuck Missler talk about Gog and Magog, explain it. Yeah, maybe north, and coming from the north is Russia. There's an alliance of all these countries. They're going to turn on Israel. I mean, can we ever see a more prime time for something like that to happen? Side note. Um, and it's not like Israel's innocent by any stretch. And if you're not new to this channel, you know my take on that. So, anyways, like explaining it, and then he's like, and we're also shown that at this time, we're shown this in Hosea that, he's like 5:2, I don't remember exactly. He's like, they confess, right? They finally confess. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. Pause right there. Cliffhanger. I will be right back. But this is like the crazy part. All right, be right back.
ill. Wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl, somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature to mean extorted it. They forging it if news anchors informant to informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we courting ships, important gifts. Of course it is what extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is.
Better than veterans don't want to let them in. Ain't got a choice but to let them in. Food is your medicine. Don't you shoot Tesla like teaching you medicine. Here to be a reckon, reckon. It's time to check reckon. Just Earth is electric and having its resonance. Really a resonance. I hope to settle in something like sediment. So I leave them hanging like they on a necklace. Shut down the world and they claim we infected with something they never could find when they testing it. Okay. I might actually have to walk away again. Pretty funny. But anyway. Okay. Cliffhanger here was that I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I hear him say, like, to explain the context of Gog and Magog, he says, and we're shown what happens here in Hosea. Okay. And they end up confessing. Now, there are many layers to why that statement made me literally like pop my head up. But as it pertains to what I felt I had to quickly get out to the world, you can tell me what you think the odds of that are. My testimony starts with Ezekiel 38, end times war, because I felt he was telling me that we were approaching the end. He wanted to use me for something. Then, pray for a wife. He shows me Hosea. Then I got a wife. Okay, Hosea. There's a very specific story that happens in Hosea, and it's symbolic of what Israel has done, turning their back on the Creator. A believer sends me Chuck Missler for a new perspective on Hosea. Never had heard of him. Then I randomly hear, like just a couple days later, randomly hear Chuck Missler talking about the end times, Ezekiel 38. And he says, and the way that we understand this context here, apparently Chuck Missler's like the guy that really was like, a lot of people were overlooking this stuff with Hosea. He's explaining what's really happening in the end. And Hosea is a crazy book. If you've never read it, it's 14 chapters. You definitely should. And like how they're punished. And then of course, Hosea's wife is like parallel to Israel and like symbolic. And so it's very crazy. It's a very crazy story. And he's like, look, it's actually given context. They eventually turn and confess. So we know that basically modern Jews, they like rebuke Jesus and they don't respect him at all. And they're looking for their Messiah. Now, here's some of the kind of, we're going to do a full stream. That's not rushed at all. I just wanted to point out the creator's clearly showing me something. If you guys knew a lot more of the details here, it's really crazy. And all of a sudden kind of, it is clear. It does seem, in fact, he is, using me in a way. And I just want people to realize that that connection was brought forth to me after I started hearing everyone talk about September 23rd and 24th. I don't set dates, not saying anything's going to happen on the dates, nothing like that at all. I hate setting dates. I think it's actually very detrimental if you're wrong. It makes people be like, okay, you guys are just crazy. You always say stuff. But what is interesting, it says, people are talking about the rapture of the church being on that day. I don't believe in preach of rapture. I think we're specifically told that's not the situation. I know people like to have debates about that, whatever. But it says, no man will know the final day nor hour, not even the angels, not even the Son, but only the Father. And so people are like, oh, we'll never know the day. Well, that's also a reference to the Feast of Trumpets because it's based on the new moon. And so you literally won't know the day or hour until you see the moon. Feast of Trumpets is this year on the 23rd and the 24th. And the Jews sacrifice the red heifer this year, and they're going to blow like 1,000 shofars for like the first time on the Feast of Trumpets this year. Very crazy. A lot of predictive programming for 3 days of darkness, possibly leading up to that. or around that time or sometime in September. None of that may happen. Okay. Um, well, I mean, I haven't even made any type of speculative prediction as to what would happen 23rd and 24th. But then, and we were going to break this down and we're going to show you. I might be able to do it tonight. Tons of predictive programming movies with 923. I was shown these connections and a few other things have happened. I met a lady randomly. Obviously, turns out it wasn't random at all, right? And a believer. And it was just really crazy synchronistic, giving me some things that I was clearly supposed to hear. I told her a couple things she was supposed to hear. You know, random black lady, never met her. Next thing I know, we're holding hands praying together. Okay. That happened this morning. A lot of stuff happening. And I guess the crazy part about it here is that also when I was out there, I was like kind of squatting down. I was thinking, I'm like, okay, is there actually something on the 23rd, 24th? I don't know. Like our Feast of Trumpets. Because and another part of that, by the way, like you'll never know the day nor the hour. Let's say you knew it was the 23rd and the 24th. You don't know what day it is. You don't know which hour it is. Could be either day. Again, I'm not in any way predicting anything. I'm saying it's just interesting. And at the least you should have heard it. What I do know is that the creator is now showing me a connection between Ezekiel and Hosea I never would have conceived of existing all of a sudden. And there's this specific guy, Missler, who has connected it and explained it apparently. And what do you know, a believer sends me, like randomly tells me, hey, here's Chuck Missler explaining Hosea 2 days before I then hear him explaining Ezekiel 38, which is Gog and Magog that started my testimony, which was again that we were approaching the season of the end and he wanted to use me to do something. And then I'm shown Hosea. And then what happens? Well, what happens to Hosea? What is in the story, the parallel symbolism of Hosea? And it's all about Israel. Turn their back on him, like his wife did. Right? And I'm now being shown that it's all intertwined, right? Meaning Hosea and Ezekiel. Now, so we're on a major, like, I'm excited, what's going to happen next type of such a scenario. But I wanted to throw that out in the ether, I guess, that, look, I mean, there are some people claiming that they're being shown things, whatever. I can only tell you what I feel like, what I'm being shown. And there's something. And look, let's talk about it, right? Like the Jews turn their back on him and it's like they get punished and 2/3 of them get wiped out and they get swallowed up in fire. And, eventually he intervenes on their behalf in Ezekiel. Well, think about what they do. They spit on Christians. They say that Yeshua was burning in semen and excrement. They're trying to bring about a Messiah, and they're killing the red heifer this year. That's a big deal. And I will tell you also, of course, they gave Trump. Oh no, I think I left my phone. Oh no, I didn't. I was like, I gotta have the phone. Okay, coming. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry, I gotta play a song again. I'll be right back.
That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting steady high, steady sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature to mean extorted it. They forging it if news anchors informants who informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we courting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks. We ignoring which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics glorify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers actors say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?
All right. So, um, what's crazy about this, right, is they're talking about signing a peace treaty in the Middle East, like this big Abraham Accord peace treaty, right? In late this month. So we do have like obviously equinox. You have a partial eclipse. You have a new moon eclipse today, right? So I'm out of breath. Um. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of point that out. It does seem like people should maybe be vigilant, maybe kind of keep up with what's going on. I think you'd have to be pretty desperate. Either A, you would think he's lying about his testimony, like he's just making that stuff up, or B, you'd have to be super desperate to be like, oh, but that had nothing to do with the creator. Really? There's like a lot of other things, right? Like, let's see. I can't tell some of the stuff right now. Don't have time. But I've had like a creator come and bring me. Have you ever wondered if uh, the Father wants to show you his experience with Israel? And when I looked back at Hosea, it's very interesting. If you guys never read it, it's kind of a frustrating book. Like you're frustrated for Hosea. You're like, dude, how's this? What's going on? How's this fair to him? And you keep reading, and you're like, oh, well, how's it fair to the creator? I guess is how it feels, and it's like the creator wants the best, like loves us and wants the best for us, but because we're free, has to watch us go and like destroy ourselves and make bad decisions and turn our back on him and place other gods before him. Hosea's wife, or Hosea had to watch his wife, although he loved her and wanted what's best for her, had children with her, had to watch her like because of free will go choose to betray him and put other men before him, just like Israel's putting other gods before him. And so I never even really saw the parallel so crystal clear, but it's actually very obvious, right? And um, if you apply that to right now, uh, and I will say, like, I am being given like a very powerful testimony. So if you apply that to now, it's like, look what Israel has done. Why would this come back up now? Right? I mean, when did Hosea happen? That's already happened. Well, it's like maybe again, Hosea is actually pointing to some stuff that ends up happening kind of in the season of the end. And here we are where the world has turned on Israel. And I would say like rightfully so in many ways. Like mass murdering babies. And I just don't think there's any way you can spin that. Committing a genocide. But it's like the whole world turned on them and people that are all for murdering babies. You know what I mean? So it's just a very interesting dynamic. Obviously, we're becoming very desensitized to ongoing kinetic conflict in the last like 2-3 years. So this idea of like some major peace treaty is interesting. I'll say also, side note, right? Weird enough, apparently Neuralink is just now getting FDA approved and will be available to anybody and everybody. And everyone knows about Neuralink, that's got the mark of the beast written all over it. You have to be able to facilitate it in your wrist. I thought, so I'm like, how does that work? But then I found out that the Neuralink actually, you to like, you can check your pulse here. You can actually interact with neural signals in that part of your wrist. apparently a very important, like, kind of apex of, signal propagation. So, in theory, you could put a Neuralink there as well. Um, that was crazy when I found that out, so interesting timing for that to happen. And of course, we've been predictably programmed for a long time to have, like, the banks go down on a Friday and no one can get their money, and then on Monday swoop in and they have, like, a new updated digital currency system, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna buy back part of your money. We'll give you your money back in digital currency or part of it. You have a week to get rid of your cash and to turn it in, and we'll give you the new CDBC or whatever." Uh, and I will say, if that happens, by the way, whoever's got cash, I mean, you're gonna be balling out. You're buying things for pennies on the dollar, right? Because there'll be a shortage of cash, but it'll still be valuable at that point. Now, maybe nothing like that happens, but we've been programmed a lot with this idea of, like, a few days of darkness. They're obviously talking about, and we're gonna cover this more on the stream where we have plenty of time. I'll show you guys a bunch of videos, receipts, a bunch of the evidence. It's really trippy. Now, like, people know, dude, I'm not into fear porn. I'm not into setting dates. I'm not into making predictions. I'm also not into just ignoring everything, not talking about it, and at least raising awareness to stuff at all. We're talking about people are gonna do a blackout, like, it's like a self-led, like, the people are leading it. Of course, it wasn't actually self-led or grassroots at all, but talking about they're gonna do the blackout, and they're not gonna use anything, and they're not gonna buy anything, and they're gonna black out. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're gonna do it to yourself? And even talking about, like, the grid and stuff. So it's all just a very interesting time. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you guys feel that it is. I feel that it is. I feel the creator is showing me some things, and I just wanted people to know. Okay, so this is a many years thing for me, right? I mean, my testimony starts a while back when I was shown Ezekiel 38. I was shown Hosea like 4 years ago. So we're talking like many years. And now, here in September, I'm being shown this kind of like all of a sudden, I'm like shown Ezekiel and Hosea are directly related and both about the end. And that's crazy, right? I mean, maybe one could say I should have already known that, but apparently tons of people overlooked it. And like Missler came out and kind of explained it. So I'm gonna keep looking into everything. I just want you to know I did see, I was asking the question, I saw saw 23 a few times today. You could definitely say, "Oh, well, you're looking for it now." Maybe so, but I'm just saying that right as I thought of things, I saw 23. Again, I am so hesitant to say something like that because I'm not that kind of person, but I also would be remiss to not say something, at this point. So there, I got the word out. Um, I got some things I gotta do, but I'll try and stream again, and we're gonna break everything down, and we'll go through Hosea, and we'll break this down because I think this is of immense importance. And I would say, again, be vigilant, kind of pay attention to what's going on, because for those who don't know, of course, Trump disappeared for a few days. He had these marks on his hands, and people were saying, like, "Oh, he's gonna get sick, he's gonna die, or whatever." Who knows about any of that? But it's this idea that he could go away and come back is, with that dude's character, very sketchy. Now Neuralink being available, it's like, who knows? You could really get some crazy theories here, like he, like, supposedly dies next to death or on his deathbed or does die, um, or even is killed or whatever, and they use Neuralink to kinda revive this guy. Whoever would have access to AI and all the surveillance system, if you could tie that to Neuralink, you would basically get to play little g God on Earth. You would have access to everyone's data, what they're doing, what they're thinking. They build, like, profiles for each person. You can hear when you're talking, all these different things, right? In your conversations and your search histories, and they know where everyone's at, where everyone's going, what everyone's doing. They're surveilling you from above, they're surveilling you from all around. If you could, in theory, someone could be given access to the entire, like, AI surveillance system, and it could integrate cognitively with a Neuralink, they would be immensely powerful, like, hard to even kind of fathom. It would be hard to fathom how that could be there could be a cognitive transition, but we know that, like, the conscious use of the mind is actually very limited, um, as far as we can tell. So, and then, of course, they did again, um, they sacrificed the red heifer, which if you don't know, there's like a prophecy before the Messiah comes, they have to have like a perfect red heifer that has no flaws, has no blemishes, it can never even be leaned up against, right? And there are these Christian ranchers in Texas that sent him a few, and they're always like taking submissions basically. They actually sacrifice one. I can't even have one white hair, and I never have been involved in any labor whatsoever. And they sacrificed. And what did they give Trump? They gave Trump the silver crown of the Messiah, which is only supposed to go on the head of the Messiah. Now, he didn't put it on. So then it's like, wait, who would he put it on? Then you can look at his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's playing a huge role in. Um, and look, I should make this clear. I'm actually they could be trolling, pretending to fulfill all this, and it has nothing to do with the real end times. Okay, but I mean, I don't know why I'm being shown all these synchronicities right now, and like clearly I was supposed to kind of explain like, yo, whatever my little part here is, I'm being shown this, and this is years in the making, and now it's connecting, and no one knows really how crazy the whole thing is, but trust me, it is crazy. Okay. It is however like kind of crazy you would think it is, it's like 1,000 times crazier than that. So yeah, there's a situation. And I mean like kind of like with my personal developments and revelations, stuff like that, and in my life. So I would tell everyone kind of, yo, like first of all, get right with the creator, you know, be honest with yourself and with the creator, and know that we could be in a pretty wild time, and we may not be, but I'm just telling you, like, I'm telling you what I'm being shown. So that's why I had to go live. Cool. I don't even have time to to talk in the chats a lot. I really went over what I was gonna do here. Sorry for the breaks. We will stream again. Just yeah, and I'll give people the very long awaited kind of. We are finally almost into the next chapter. So, uh, yeah, should be cool. Should be cool. So, okay, I guess that's what we'll say. That's what we'll leave that there. I mean, I'll just remind you again, like Trump got the crown of the Messiah. It's a silver crown. It's not supposed to ever go on anyone's head except for the Messiah. Why they give it to Trump? Why did they give Trump the award that called him the Prince of Peace, which is a messianic prophecy? What? What? You know what's going on? So, does someone stand in a physical temple or not a physical temple, declaring themselves to be God, signing a peace treaty with Israel, and then going back on it halfway through? I mean, that would be crazy. And so then at that point, it would be like, okay, if that actually happened around like, you know, in the 20s of this month, and it would be like, wait, is that the start of the tribulation? Do we do, I don't know. I'm not making any predictions like that. I'm just saying that it's like, I got to come kind of say what's going on. Okay. No, it was kind of all over the place. Hopefully you guys understand. If you follow the testimony aspect of it, it's actually a very crazy situation. And what we'll do later is we'll go through Hosea, and yeah, it's crazy. And if no one's ever read Hosea, I encourage you go read Hosea and understand it through the lens of, oh, this is kind of telling you the story of what kind of Israel and what believers have done and rebelled, and kind of the relationship with Christ. And it's like it's showing you Hosea's wife doing it, and then how he ends up punishing her, the creator, right? Because it's the same as Israel. And it's like, just kind of read it, and the punishments that are given, and um, the relationship that's explained, and then kind of look at the world. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So there you go. Basically, the summary of the potential gravy here is every country around Israel actually has like the colors of the apocalyptic horses: white, red, green, yellow. Every like all these Islamic countries around them. That's pretty crazy, right? And again, Gog and Magog is talking about them converging and then ambushing Israel. You have like Russia kind of from the north, so you could have like Russia and China and Iran and a bunch of these Middle Eastern countries kind of saying, okay, Israel, enough's enough. And a lot of the world's going to support them because they're like, enough is enough. And honestly, enough is enough, right? Like Israel's wilding out here, committing genocide in 4K like it's nothing. And they just won't stop. Like it's been over 2 years. So they would get the support of most of the world. Now, it seems inconceivable a scenario where America's going to turn on them, but maybe they would. Maybe they would. And they would be temporarily punished before the Creator intervened. So, for those that, you know, study the scriptures and stuff like that, and you maybe never looked at Hosea that way, that Hosea and Ezekiel 38, they're kind of like overlapping. Hosea is actually showing you, giving you crucial details about what happens in the end. Um, that's pretty profound. All of a sudden, I didn't know that. I'll just say that. So for me, it's like it's a personally very profound thing for my testimony to be shown that, and in the way that I was shown that, again, that I was sent from a believer, Chuck Missler explaining Hosea, like, here's a different take on Hosea if you've never seen it. That'll probably, like, be pretty profound for you or whatever. And it's Chuck Missler, this playlist of Hosea, and then I'm randomly hearing a video from this guy that I'd never heard of before 2 days ago, explaining Ezekiel 38 and 39, the end times, and then to explain further details, he invokes Hosea, saying, like, Hosea is what is the book that gives us more details about what's happening here. Whoa, bro, blew my mind, bro. That is crazy. What are the odds? What are the odds? So, um, yeah, I feel like I should tell you guys. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that's the timing right now, but I was shown, like, okay, Feast of Trumpets, they sacrifice the heifer, they're blowing 1,000 shofars. Think what you want to about them. If whatever, they want to bring about a Messiah and they're sacrificing the heifer and they're blowing 1,000 shofars for the first time. So it's like, maybe they're completely off. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't know that but it doesn't make sense for them to do something like that unless they think their Messiah's here. Right? So that's weird. Who would they think their Messiah? Or, some have alluded to the idea that Trump is the Messiah. He's going to step up, or that Kushner is, or whatever. And it may be none of them. It may be nothing, whatever. Just so you know, we're in a crazy time. And yeah, the Feast of Trumpets is seemingly the 23rd, 24th. And no man knows the final date nor the final hour. Also, no man knows the day or hour of the Feast of Trumpets because it's all based on the moon. You got to wait till the moon shows itself, bro, and it does it when it wants to do it, which is actually so beautiful and poetic. If you don't know, like, I'm waiting until you see the moon for the first time to know it's the new year, or to know where you're at in the cycle of the month. It's pretty cool. So, all right, I love you guys. Hopefully, you guys can kind of see the profundity in some of that, and heed the warning, or, like, it's like, if you're messing around, if you're playing games with the Father right now, like with Yah, you need to stop. You need to stop, like, now, and like now, like yesterday. You need to get right with the Creator. You need to humble yourself. You need to be real. You need to be like, okay, wait, what's going on? You just got to, now is the time. And again, I'm not trying to scare someone or tell them I know something's happening. It's just like, why would you even play with stuff like that? Why would you play with fire? Right? Pun intended. Okay. I love you guys. Random impromptu stream. Wanted to say that. That was very cool. We will break it a lot down. It's going to blow your mind when we break a lot of this down. And for those saying that I'm a shill or whatever, yeah, that's why I do stuff like this, that doesn't help me in any way, and any terms of financially, and it just makes people triggered and like, what, bro, shut up. Okay, cool. Love you guys. Can't give too many details. I got so much stuff I have to get done, but I love you guys. Everything's cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I will catch up with you maybe tonight. I don't know. Super busy, but we'll soon. We'll break it all down. This is just like a part one. I'm pretty sure I'll keep this up. I may retitle it. Because I want to, like, really do it justice and break it all down and not rush anything. But I just felt like I should get this out, and I'm not sure exactly when I'll be able to. Lots of synchronicities. So seek what's going on for yourself. Get some verification. All right. I love you guys. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl, somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force a misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature, that mean extorted it. They forging it, if news anchors informant to informing them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this, we port and ships important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informant this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder is it real?